All right. Welcome everybody to our partner channel Q&A session. We're excited to chat with you guys and hear what questions you might have and answer any and all things Route4Me, routing, route optimization, and all that good stuff, last mile optimization related. We're going to start off by kind of giving you just a little flavor for who we are. I think, those of you probably know some of us, but maybe not all of us. So we want to make sure you know who you're talking to. Certainly, don't wait. If you have a question, put it into the Q&A. There's a button there at the bottom of your screen. You'll be able to submit a question, and then when we're going to talk about a few things, kind of give you a little background, and then we'll jump into getting those questions answered for you. So, first off, let's tell you who we are. There we go. So first up is me. So my name is Sean Stinson. I'm one of the senior strategic partner relationship managers here with Route4Me. I've been in and around the telematics world for 24 years now. I've been with Route4Me for 6.5, and I manage various partners across the U.S., some in South America, and even over in the UK as well. So spread out a little bit. Next, we have Madeline.
Yeah, hello. So yeah, my career has been in transportation and logistics for the entirety of my career. I've worked at PepsiCo and AT&T, where I specialized in IoT and fleet management. So yeah, I had a lot of experience in different verticals, manufacturing, utilities, oil and gas, but all centered around transportation and logistics. And somewhat new to Route4Me, but yeah, happy to talk with everyone today.
All
And
right.
yeah,
Oh, sorry. My name is Jason Johnson, everybody. Some of you know me. Some of you I look forward to meeting in the near future. I'm also one of the senior strategic partner relationship managers. Yes, I know that is a mouthful. My background does not start in telematics or in last mile. It actually started in a bunch of different places, but I've had the privilege of working here at Route4Me now for a number of years, and I just love what I do and love this last mile logistics. So super psyched to see everybody and have you guys join. We're looking forward to your questions. We see a couple have popped in already, which is fantastic. So thank you guys for doing that, and we look forward to getting to your questions. So that being said, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about who is Route4Me, and then we're going to take you through, some of the stuff that we do, and then we're also going to share a little bit about like who we solve for. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and dive right in. So who is Route4Me? For those of you, and a lot of you are familiar, but just as a quick recap, right? We're currently a team of over 175 professionals, which is super awesome from a work experience. We love it. The things that are going to matter to your clients and the things that matter to our clients is the fact that we have a great wide breadth of experience. We've helped optimize over 30 million routes. We've helped customers visit over 750 million stops, and that has led to over 3 billion miles driven, which is just wild. We have over 40,000 happy customers, and one of the things they love and we are super passionate about is the fact that our support is 24/7. So here at Route4Me, whether you have a question at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 10 a.m., or 4 p.m., or, as Jimmy Buffett said, 5 o'clock somewhere, there's a human being here at Route4Me looking forward to answering your questions. And you can connect with them via live chat, which is embedded in our platform. Telephone, you can call us up, or email tickets. Those are all available. I mean, if you sent up a smoke signal, there is a shot somebody might actually answer. So how do we do what we do? One of the powerful things about Route4Me is our platform. And what our platform does is it allows our customers to take their data, the important stuff like their orders or their telematics data or data from anything else like their CRM or ERP, those types of tech stack points, and basically use that information to plan and optimize, leveraging the tools in the Route4Me platform. That then in turn leads to dispatch and tracking. That helps to help improve driver efficiency, which in turn drives business operations, ultimately leading to better customer outcomes. Happier customers equal happier businesses. This is also powered by the fact that you can look back and gain insights and visibility into what happened and achieve that happy place of plan versus actual, which puts you on a path of continual improvement. And one of the things that we always say is that route optimization isn't a destination, it is a journey. And part of that journey is continual improvement. So for more into how we make the magic happen, one of the super nice things and neat things about Route4Me is we're built on a bidirectional API framework. So what does that mean? I mean, that's just fancy tech talk that really translates into the fact that it's really easy to get data into our system and out of our system. So I also know that some of the people on this call are super techie, so I'll take it to a slightly different level. So we are a REST-based API with full webhook capabilities. We have a fully published subset of SDKs that are available for you, and our staff, tech staff, and support team are more than happy to help you whenever you decide to integrate. So without further ado, what I'd also like to share with you is some of the companies that are part of the Route4Me family. Some of our partners on here might recognize some of their logos, some of their logos of their customers, which is awesome. But these are some of the companies that we do business with. You'll notice it's a super diverse group. I mean, we have everybody from professional services to governments, to telcos, to energy drinks. I mean, it's really all over the place. And that also speaks to the flexibility and power of the platform. And one of the things we love to say about Route4Me is there really is no one way to do something. There's many ways to do something, and it usually comes down to how you would like to do what you want to do. So with that being said, that's kind of it from the presentation intro part. And at this point now, we'll just go ahead and start diving into some of the questions you guys might have.
Awesome. So we do have a couple that have popped in, so appreciate that. And just so you guys know, we're just going to answer the questions. We're not going to call you out by name or anything like that. So if you feel like you have a question and you're, I don't know, for whatever reason, you think it might not be a good question, we're not going to call you out. But the odds are that question is in the brain of everybody else there too. So please throw it at us so that we can answer that question, get it out there. It doesn't matter how simple or basic you might think it is. We're happy to take it and we're happy to answer it for you. All right. So the first one I see here is pretty basic, and we kind of catch this a lot when we're talking with our partners. Is how do I start a conversation regarding routing with my customers? And it really, especially for those of you guys who are in the telematics world, you're already talking about the fleet. You're already talking about how they're going to go about their day. And it's just simply sliding a question in like, how do your workers know what they're supposed to do each day? How do they know what stops they got to make and where they're going? And then you just kind of just be quiet and just let them talk to you, because odds are they're gonna just spill everything and tell you it's a manual process. We're using spreadsheets, we use Google Maps, we've got a series of bar napkins that we write things on, whatever it is. And just take those notes. And that is going to be your clue to kind of say, hey, this sounds like you might need some help, just kind of planning your day. I've got a great strategic partner that I'd like to connect you with. And then that's where we come in. All right. So it's very simple. It's just that one question. How do your workers know what they're doing each day? Um, so Madeline, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, so someone asked, what's the difference between routing and telematics? And, it's a great question, because they both serve a key role in fleet management, but there's different purposes. So routing is really that process of finding the most efficient way for that driver to deliver goods, pick up goods, ultimately hit all the stops they need to make, right? So and then the other piece of it is considering the service requirements, time constraints, and accomplishing that route in the most efficient way possible. So it's focusing on optimizing that journey for the driver, where telematics is the collection and the transmission of data, often from the OBD2 device. So you have a tracker, and that's more about vehicle performance. It can be about driver behavior, but that would be focused on what you get from the vehicle, being harsh braking, speeding, cornering. Um, and so routing is about the process of optimizing and automating and planning that driver's journey. And telematics is more about the efficiency of the vehicle or monitoring what's going on with the vehicle.
Awesome. So next question I have here is, and I'll read it out. So the question is, I see you have API integration. Want to make sure this would work seamlessly with Fleet Complete and Geotab. So the answer is yes. Now, I will say, and this is kind of going to dovetail a little bit into Madeline's question in some ways, which is how it's connected. So there's actually different options for those two carriers specifically, those two telematics partners specifically. And without getting too deep into the minutia of it, for example, with Geotab, we have an add-in that's available. So that's one of the connection points. And then the other one is our telematics gateway, which allows you to sync your fleet. And then your fleet could then be assigned to a route where you would then see the vehicle location data overlaid on the route, overlaid on a map, and all that kind of fun stuff. The same would apply to Fleet Complete. Fleet Complete, for those of you who may or may not know, actually has two different versions. There's a legacy version of Fleet Complete, and then there's the new FC Hub, which is the new version. And for the super techie people on the call, they actually built that on GraphQL. The really good news is we're integrated with both of them, so it doesn't matter which flavor of ice cream you prefer from Fleet Complete, whether it's the legacy or the new. We actually integrate seamlessly with both of them. So I hope that is an answer for you. Please feel free to follow that up if you have an additional question behind that.
Yeah, and I would just simply say too, on that, it's not just those two, right? So we have that same kind of integration with pretty much all the platforms out there. So we're very Switzerland when it comes to our telematics integrations, but we have several of them out there. So, feel free to come to us and have the conversation about a specific one. We'll be happy to take that. Um, so Madeline, you want to take that next one there? So we've handled the telematics one.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this is a question that comes up quite a bit, and what's awesome is there is an element of what I could call. Oh, so sorry. The question was, do you have the ability to show the customer how the driver has performed on the route? And so we kind of call that route compliance, meaning, did they actually take the prescribed sequence or route that's been defined? You put time into the strategy. Did they go execute it? So you can see planned versus actual, how the driver might have followed that last mile route. You can detect route deviation or maybe a detour. You can even see if they've visited all the stops, but in a sequence that wasn't prescribed or created in the way it was supposed to be. So if they went out of order, and this is captured in near real time, it's very easy to see what the route was planned, what actually occurred, and you can even play it back and see it after the fact or in just about near real time every 60 seconds. You can see how that driver's progressing.
So I'd like to
Awesome.
add to that. I mean, that was a fantastic answer. And one of the things I'd like to add is that, as much as people don't like to admit it, but one of the dirtiest little secrets about optimization is that it hinges on the driver, right? Like if the driver doesn't follow the plan, like all the pre-planning we did really, doesn't add up to much. Where it really matters is how are we helping that driver to be successful, right? How are we setting them up for success? How are we able to demonstrate to them and give them coachable moments that says, hey, look, I understand you've been driving this way for 30 years, right? And we're saying to do things a little different. Here's the reason why. We can save you 5 or 6 miles. We can save you 15, 20 minutes, right? Gets you home to your family sooner, right? Keeps you off the road. You could be in that intersection and something bad happens, or maybe you were never in that intersection and nothing happened, right? And it's impossible to measure those, but if you're only on the road, the absolute minimum, it definitely helps increase the safety factor, right? So that's one part of it. And then the other part that I also like to point out, especially when it comes to the compliance piece, right, is that is another part to that whole continual improvement, right? How do we get better, right? We have to look and see, was the plan bad? Because it's entirely possible the driver had to make modifications because something was missed in planning. and we didn't account for it. The driver caught it. The driver did the right thing and was able to do better than the plan. So all that kind of factors in, and having the ability to see all that is what really makes a very, very powerful value proposition for the end user. And that's what it's really all about.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. So got another one here around commercial fleets, and can we support them? And the answer to that is yes. And we actually there's different ways to think about supporting a commercial fleet, right? So there's the aspect of planning the route and understanding the size of the truck, right? Length of the truck, the height of the truck, the width of the truck, the weight of the truck. And then even potentially what that truck is carrying, right? So there's hazardous materials out there that can only go down certain roads, or more importantly, can't go down specific roads or through tunnels and that kind of thing. In the city of New York, you've got certain parkways that it doesn't matter if you're driving or riding a motorcycle. If it's got a logo on the side of it of a company, it's considered commercial, so you're not allowed on it. So there depending on where you are, right, there's all these different rules. So how do you build these routes in a manner that allows your vehicles to travel down the roads that they're allowed to go down and avoid the places they can't, i.e. a low bridge, right? We don't want a can open, right? Or a bridge that's just not stable enough to handle your weight. So we can build that route taking into consideration that profile of that vehicle, right? Depending, no matter, and you have different, you can build different profiles to match what your fleet is, so that we know when we build the routes that it's set up to handle that. But then we can also deliver the turn-by-turn audio navigation to the driver. So it's one thing to build the route, but if the driver doesn't know how to navigate that route properly, then you're still going to get yourself in some trouble potentially. And so this will keep those drivers from getting those citations, from obviously avoiding the accidents that could happen if you hit that low-hanging bridge, or go down a road you're not supposed to be down, and now it's too wide to go through an area, whatever the challenge is, or potentially taking hazardous material into an area that you're just not allowed to be in, right? Which could be extremely dangerous. So the answer to that question is yes, we do support commercial fleets. We love those conversations. We're one of the very few that can do both the routing and the navigation element, and we do it all together within our platform. So that is a huge value. It looks like Paul came back with another question. Did you handle that one already, Madeline?
Yeah, hey Paul, I can point you to the folks within AT&T that have that pricing for you. So I'll sync with you after this if that's all right.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
Paul promised that the questions would be anonymous. And
yeah, and then yeah, there I go.
bro
My bad.
outed you, man, Paul, just like that, bro. Just ratted you right out. I don't know. So sometimes
But
sometimes that happens.
first name only though, first name only. So anyway, and,
Paul
and
was an
just for
alien.
the edification for everybody, the question was around pricing, and because we have various partners on here, right? There's different platforms or packages that we have, and the pricing is going to be kind of dictated really kind of maybe by your organization as to where you go. But essentially that breakdown is we have a manual route management package. That's just like I said, very, very manual. We have a route optimization package that allows you to resequence within an individual route, and then we have a business optimization package that allows you to kind of build your optimizations across multiple vehicles, multiple stops, take into consideration things like time windows, capacity constraints, whether it be the number of pieces or maybe the weight or potentially revenue. Um, my vehicles have different size capacities, all the things, right? And it takes that stuff in consideration. So there are different price points for each one of those, and those would be an individual conversation you want to have with your strategic partner to make sure, relationship manager, to make sure that we have you dialed in for kind of the way it works within your organization. So another one that came in was the industries that benefit. So Jason showed you a logo board, right? And he kind of made the comment, it's kind of all over as far as the different types of businesses. And that really holds true, right? So I mean, there's some obvious ones out there, like if I'm doing deliveries, right, then that's I've got to make a lot of stops. I want to be as efficient as possible. but there's other organizations that do field service work, right? Maybe facilities management. We do a lot of warehouse to retail or warehouse to a consumer. So it is delivery, but sometimes it's, you don't really think about, you know, somebody who's got a manufacturing facility and they're going out to their retail locations, right? So that's, if you really kind of think about anyone who has vehicles that are making multiple stops in the course of a day, and they're trying to figure out how can I get to more stops with either the same amount of vehicles or less vehicles, get more efficient, reduce those drive miles, reduce fuel consumption, reduce wear and tear on the vehicles, right? That's probably going to be a pretty good fit for us, right? So, but it's specific industries can be. I will tell you that if you guys are in a place where cannabis is out there, that's a huge one for us. They love us because that is just growing and booming everywhere, pun intended. So that's a great one, right? But certainly, again, think facility services. Think if you're in the government space, the folks that do inspections, right? They love us, love us, love us. Folks that go around and validate like liquor licenses and all that kind of stuff. They're big fans of us as well. So if you start thinking about those types of ideas and customers that are similar to them in your base, then that's probably a good opportunity. And certainly, if you have a question, reach out to us, right? If you have a specific customer in mind, you're like, well, what about this? Let's have that convo and let's figure it out because odds are it probably is a good fit. But if it's not, and they're trying to do something that's a little outside of what we do, if we know who does it or kind of the direction you need to go, we'll also do that for you, right? We'll say, oh, you need to go talk to so and so because that's what their platform does. It's really not us. It's these guys will do a better job of what you're trying to do for that customer because our ultimate goal is to set you guys up for success.
Yep, fantastic. And I'll borrow a ism from one of our fearless leaders up in leadership. He likes to say, if you deliver goods or services into the field, you probably need route optimization. Um,
Mhm.
that's a real general scenario for answering that question. So let's see, we got another one here, and it says, is there a difference between routing and navigation? That is a fantastic question. And in a very self-serving response, I'm going to say I actually wrote an article about this on LinkedIn, so feel free to go check it out and look it up. However, I will also answer the question here. So the answer is yes, there actually is a difference, right? So they commonly get smushed together, which is really common. And it was one of those things where I actually chuckled a couple times because I had somebody say to me, so route optimization. So if the driver is driving and they need to make those stops, like if you look over Sean's shoulder, you see all the stops on the map. Can you tell him to take a left and then a right before he goes there? And I'm like, well, no, that's navigation. That's not optimization. And they're like, well, isn't that like dynamic routing? And I'm like, no, dynamic routing is helping make sure that those stops are in the most efficient sequence to minimize miles and time. And they're like, but could you do it? And I'm like, well, if you think about when the plan is actually created, right? So usually, and let's step through a pretty common scenario. Let's say somebody's using orders, and it doesn't matter what's in an order, but customers are placing orders. And those customers' orders have come in and they have a cutoff time. Their cutoff time is 5 p.m. So after 5 p.m., they need to start getting stuff ready to go execute. So that's when the route will be built. It'll be built well in advance before the driver even loads the truck. Now, you're probably saying, well, Jason, why would it be built so far in advance? Well, to maximize efficiency, if you build a route, you know how to sequence how you load the vehicle. So you can create that first in, last off kind of scenario. So whenever the driver, imagine they unload from the rear door, opens that door in a perfect world, the box he's looking for, if they're delivering boxes, is right in front every time. They don't have to dig for it. They're not hunting and pecking. It's like right there, right? So that's part of it. So the big part that follows that is the fact that since we've built the plan in advance, we do not know what the traffic's going to be. We don't know if there's going to be an accident. We don't know if there's a last minute road closure, anything along those lines. Now, I cannot confirm or deny whether in the lab we're trying to create a future looking thing and but I have requested that lotto tickets and lotto numbers be the first true test of whether this functionality will work. However, it may be a problem we solve eventually in the future. But to answer the question, all joking aside, that is actually how we solve it. So I
Yeah.
hope that's helpful, and I hope it clears it up. And then there was,
And even to that point, Jason, to bolt on, like even if you build your route like right before the driver goes out the door, you still don't know that Mrs. Smith is going to blow a tire on the interstate 20 minutes from now, right? I mean, you just don't know. But that's what the navigation apps, like, and we have our own built-in navigation app. We also connect up with like Waze and Apple and Google Maps, right? What really whatever the driver is comfortable with. But that's what those apps do is they're checking, the density of all the different GPS signals to say traffic is slowed down. You should go a different way, and here's a new path. And so we can provide that navigation that is the quickest to the next stop. And in some cases, and I have this, I answered that commercial fleet question a minute ago, and I do have this happen quite a bit where the commercial folks will say, can you reroute my truck? And it's like, maybe, right? Because sometimes you got to think about if I've got a truck that's so big and so tall or carrying some product, I may be very limited in where I can send that truck. So the best course of action might be sit in traffic. That might be it, right? Just because of what they're carrying or maybe how big they are. But for the most case, the smaller vehicles, the vans and the pickup trucks and the cars and that kind of stuff, there's going to have options available for them to be rerouted per GPS navigation speed, but it is it's re-navigate to a new route to get to their next stop.
yeah, and to add to that a little bit, I would like to say that when it comes to commercial, specifically the commercial side, commercial routing doesn't always equal faster, and it doesn't always
Yeah.
equal less miles because it's about safety, right? And it's about making
Yeah.
sure that the truck is on a route where they're not parking a 12-foot tall truck under a 10-foot, under a 10-foot bridge, because that never ends well. Fantastic YouTube content from time to time. If you ever looked on YouTube and like search for low clearance incidents, you can definitely see some shocking footage. But yeah, it's traumatic for the driver, expensive for the company, and all that kind of fun stuff. So we are at about time. Oh, wait, there's one more question. Everybody always asks this one. So I won't tell you what the question is, but the answer is chicken. So
Yeah.
the question was, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I know it's kind of lame, but the answer is chicken. We're going to go with that one for this one. So, hey, thank you to everybody that chose to attend. We really appreciate you joining us for this Q&A session. We're going to have more of them. This is a new one. So if you've joined this one, you are officially a charter member and founding member. So we might send out pins and we might send out badges. We might, and we know promises there. But if you'd like one,
Don't hold your breath.
let us know. I mean, we can always make the request to our marketing team and see if they can make the magic happen, right? But
Yeah.
from myself, Jason Johnson, thank you everybody for attending. I'll let everybody else say their thank yous and goodbyes, but I really, really appreciate your time and attention and hope that we were able to give you really good answers to those fantastic questions.
Yeah, and I'll just say that, since I did accidentally call Paul out, and if that caused you to not ask your question because you're afraid that Sean's just an idiot, which is a fair assumption, don't hesitate to email any one of us or call us afterwards with your question on the side, and we'll be more than happy to answer that, and we will not send out social media post, that we spoke with you and what question you asked. I promise you that. Madeline, you got any parting words?
No, I appreciate the questions and yeah, it's been great. I'm really looking forward to doing more of these events and helping everyone have better engagements around fleet management and routing and driving more new business opportunities. That's the goal. So any ideas you got, like hit us up, hit me up. Yeah, we're down.
Awesome. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic rest of your day.